Please can you introduce yourself, Julia?
My name is Julia Alexander, and I am a YouTube reporter for The Verge.
Yes.
Yes.
Are you specifically a YouTube reporter, or are you like internet culture?
Yeah, I think
broadly?
it's internet culture broadly, but my main focus of interest is YouTube. I follow closely by like Twitch, and then TikTok, and then memes. Yeah, and memes. Well, YouTube is like, if it was a pie chart, YouTube would be like 90% of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you see that Casually Explained video about memes?
No.
The history of memes.
Oh, perfect.
It was good. I'll send it to you. It was
I
very
love
funny.
that there are like 10,000 history of meme channels.
Oh, you know what? I just realised I never even introduced the video. That's like, I'm such a rookie. I should have said at the beginning, I'm going to say it now, I could even like say it in a way that's like, I could just edit it in, but I feel like that would be too, I don't know.
You gotta be
like
authentic.
Too slick.
Yeah, you gotta be authentic.
Gotta be authentic. This is episode 2 of my series, which is called Chats with Academics.
This is rude, I'm sorry.
No, it's not Chats with Academics. I have Chats with Academics is my other one. Chats with YouTube experts. I will link the other previous one, which is Chris Stokel-Walker. I think it's up here.
Love Chris.
They're pals. All
Brilliant.
the like
Brilliant,
good
man.
journalists in this area seem to like be friends with each other.
Yeah, I think like academics probably always like creators. I think
Yeah.
there's certain people who work in the industry that cover the same thing, and you're kind of, you follow them on Twitter because you're like, I would like to know what you're doing. And then
you are my competition.
You are my competition.
But also you're the closest to me in terms of what
and then
we're
you meet
interested
them
in.
at a con, and
Yeah.
they're like, they're great because they're humans, and most humans are great. And then you become friends.
And that's why I love talking to journalists who work in this space, because we're not in competition, but we're very much interested in all the same things.
We were just saying it's so nice to be able to like reference a creator or reference a moment, and it's like,
nice.
oh, I get it.
Yes.
Versus like, I'll talk to friends who are just not into the space, and they're like, I don't know who or what. Like, it was great when James Charles stuff happened, because they got it. They were like, I know who James Charles is. And I was like, sister. I was like, listen up, sister.
Can you tell us about how you got into your area of work?
Yeah, totally. So I started off as a local newspaper reporter in Toronto for the Toronto Sun, and kind of moved my way up, and at some point started reporting on entertainment, because I really wanted to report on like music and movies and TV. That led me to a job at Polygon, which is a division of my Polygon pin, and there's my Verge pin.
Yes, you're representing. How are you not dying of heat right now?
You know what? I kind of feel very British.
I'm like,
I've got my little thing. I feel
we're in LA, I should say. We're at VidCon in LA, and it's so hot.
I feel like a member of Skins, like series like 3 or 4.
You know, that was filmed in my city.
Really?
I know some people who are in it.
We're gonna talk about that, because I love Skins. My love of Skins and TV led me to get a job at Polygon. And then I was doing entertainment stuff. I kind of got bored of it, it's a great field. I was kind of bored. At the same time, I realized that no one was really covering, I shouldn't say that. I really wanted to cover, I wanted to contribute.
Just say it like it is. No one was covering the internet stuff well.
I wanted to contribute to the conversation of YouTube and Twitch, specifically at Polygon, which covered games and entertainment. And I did it for about 1.5 years, and then by the time November 2017 rolled around, my boss at the time said, you know what, why don't we just do this full time, and made me senior culture reporter.
Cool.
One of my favorite stories to tell. Let's tell a little story. Chris, it was New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2017. I was living in New York, and I was getting ready to go out, and I'm watching YouTube, because that's what you do. Literally, like hair up in a towel. I'm watching YouTube, and I watch a video by Logan Paul, and I call my roommate over, and I'm like, I think that's a dead body.
Oh God.
I'm pretty sure. Or if it's not, it's a really bad joke, and it violates their community guidelines.
Right.
And I reached out to YouTube, didn't hear anything, was like not expecting to hear anything back, because it was New Year's Eve. And by the time, I started writing something, but we didn't do anything with it on New Year's Eve, because it was New Year's Eve. And everyone was like getting ready. And also, we didn't know where this fell into like creator coverage for us.
Yeah.
2 days later, it's like the biggest story in the world, and we go live. And from that moment forward, my entire life has just been covering YouTube creators mostly.
Logan Paul.
Thank you, Logan Paul. Like, really, for my career. For so many people's careers, I imagine, who were just... Because there were a lot of journalists at the time who were super into YouTube. They were into the culture, they were into covering it, but there was maybe not as much of an appetite for readers, for coverage from readers.
Yeah.
And when Logan happened, I think people really started paying attention, and that was followed by a lot of other situations. And
it's quite sad, isn't it? I think that's the reason why people get interested. Like, I was interviewed about that, and I was just like, oh, but okay, this is terrible, but like, this isn't YouTube.
It's so hard to like try to convince people YouTube is this amazing place with all these really great creators. Like, I love the idea of, like, I used to have a newsletter. I love the idea of having a weekly column where you're just highlighting really good creators who make you laugh or who really get to you. Like, you know, on our walk over here, we talked about everyone we loved.
Yeah.
I don't think we talked about anyone we disliked.
No.
It was everyone that we really love watching.
Yeah. That's what Bill does, who we just met.
Yes.
He has like a newsletter where he like finds like nice little like gems and
it's perfect.
Sort of yeah, it's nice.
If you think about it, YouTube has 500 hours of content uploaded every minute, a majority of which is good, I would imagine. I have not
like
watched
random
it.
crap.
Random crap of like a bird, but like the stuff that like I really love. Like, I genuinely just want to talk about it. I mean, I've got like push notifications turned on for like David Dobrik, and when he goes live, I'm like, that's like those 4 minutes and 20 seconds are great, and I love those. Like,
what do you like about David? I'm not really into his channel.
Do you know what I think I really love about him? My number one obsession is Vine. It's still Vine. Vine for me was like the epitome of what I wanted entertainment to be, because I'm severely ADHD. And I was like, 6 seconds. Yes, great. And then we're on something else. And I love that he applied Vine editing to YouTube. The greatest skill, or the greatest gift Vine gave us, and the greatest skill it gave to people who used it, was the ability to not only learn how to edit, but it was the ability to learn how to be concise. And I think when you watch a David Dobrik video, because of the way he edits, because of what he's doing, he takes 2 or 3 days of filming and edits into 4 minutes and 20 seconds, which are then edited it into like 10 to 15 second segments. And it just is this really interesting, fun bite.
And interesting that would happen at a time when content's become very like bloated and long.
And I think that's what kind of makes him stand out, is like when we're watching 45-minute videos from people, which are fun. I mean, I will sit and watch a 40-minute Trisha Paytas video every single time and like devour it. I will watch a 60-minute Shane Dawson documentary. And of course, I will watch a 30-minute ContraPoints video. Yeah. And they're all great. But you have David, and you're like, I don't have a lot of time, but I can like put it on, and it's 4 minutes and 20 seconds each time, and it's like, this is just fun to get in. For me, also, he kind of really leans into the LA aspect of YouTube, which I think I have a soft spot for, which is like, everyone knows everyone, and they all hang out with each other. Yeah,
and they're all super rich.
And and
it's like the reality TV section.
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah, and I grew up like heavily addicted to reality TV.
Right.
And so for me, it's like, yes.
Yeah. And the people who are happy to like buy Gucci and put that on their videos, like in a time when like most other channels would be like, no, we can't flaunt our cash.
Well, and isn't that interesting, because with like you think of Joanna Cecilia or Emma Chamberlain back in the day, like their whole, you think of people who are like, get ready with me, their whole appeal is that they're just teens who don't have a lot of money and are just like, oh, no, I'm gonna go to school and like get ready. Yeah. And I think that's what I loved about YouTube when I was growing up, was that I felt like I could connect to a lot of the weirdos, because they were weird, and I really loved it. And I think now, because there's so much content online, like user-generated, that people are just uploading, I think for teens, they just want to see themselves. And I think that's why TikTok is so big. I think that's why YouTube is seeing a teen resurgence, more so than like weird comedy or, like what I grew up with YouTube. So it's interesting to watch that happen, because I think we're seeing a real big shift in how people not only like connect to the creators that they're really into. You know, for us, when I was growing up on YouTube, it was YouTube. Now it's like, you watch a YouTube video, you check out their Instagram story, watch their tweets, their TikToks. And so I'm really fascinated by just the obsession level that we're at.
That's one of the chapters of my thesis, is specifically about the multi-platform aspect. Yes. Because I think that is something, certainly in academia, that no one has really written about, or like a couple of people have written about, but not like in any depth in terms of like, isn't it fascinating? Because I started the project with YouTube, because that's my thing, like my one true love is YouTube, but like I couldn't really stick with that, because they all work across these different platforms, and that's a really fascinating aspect of the industry. Like that most of them won't call themselves YouTubers anymore.
Yeah, they're entertainers.
Some will, because it's bad to tie yourself down.
Of course, yeah. What if you end up developing a really big following on Twitch or Facebook, or I don't know, maybe Facebook or Instagram, which I guess is Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so much. I think it's really interesting to talk about creators because I think the word creator still implies a lot of DIY culture aspect, which is absolutely still fundamentally true about YouTube. It is extremely DIY. But I think because we're at a point where YouTube is 14, it's in its teenage years, a lot of it feels manicured in a great way. And I think what I love about the teen YouTubers is that it feels DIY again. You know, some of my favorite creators, Phil DeFranco is one of my top favorite creators. You look at someone like a Shane Dawson, who's great, and their videos are phenomenal. They're also extremely well edited and manicured and professional. And then you have someone like Emma Chamberlain, who when she came around and her friends, it's just them like driving and doing really cool weird edits that were like very Tumblr-y and self-deprecating and
the like blow up head thing and the sound effect on the voice. The
leaning into like the self-deprecation, and it's like, oh, everything I loved about Tumblr is now on YouTube. And for me, it's like, that's cool because that is like an authentic teen DIY thing. And that's what I think the internet, when it comes to creators, should always be, because it's like, I love like teens doing stuff. Like they're fascinating and creative and coming to it with a fresh sense of what they want to do.
Yes. And Twitch, you said you were originally like YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah, because Polygon, part of it was Polygon was a gaming site. Now it's like a just general, really phenomenal entertainment site. But back in the day when they started, it was gaming. And no one was really covering Twitch. And so we thought we should cover Twitch. These people are some of them are making a lot of money.
Yeah.
This was just before Fortnite blew up.
Right.
And so we were kind of looking at like Dr. Disrespect and people like that. By the time Fortnite came along and Ninja streamed with Drake, and the whole world lost its mind, we kind of realized Twitch is not only just an add-on to gaming culture, entertainment culture, internet culture. It is like at the forefront of it in a way that like my friend Patricia Hernandez, who's a senior editor at Polygon, she said on Twitter, she said, I'm looking to talk to people who don't play games but are into the culture because they specifically watch YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah.
And I thought,
so many people.
And that's so many people. That is like a huge generation of people who like, I don't want to play Fortnite, I don't want to play League of Legends, but I will watch my favorite streamers and YouTubers play it.
Yeah. And
that's just how I will be a part of this culture.
Yeah. And I think that obviously there is a live stream thing on YouTube, but like the thing I love about Twitch is the live stream aspect, and like the community, like the creators that I've interviewed or talked to have said that, who work across both, will say like, I love both in different ways, but like when I'm on Twitch, the feeling of we're in a group, we're here together at the same time, I can respond to the comments, like that's a very different feeling as a creator. Twitch
to me, I've always said, feels like, both in the best and worst ways, a fraternity. Because there are secret languages that you have to know to understand. There are like cool handshakes everyone's in on. There's like these moments of like, I call it the hazing period, where you're new and you're coming up and people are like, you're part of the scene and they're kind of teasing you a little bit. And then once you're in it, you're in it. And by that, I mean like, if you are a part of Twitch in a way that you have been accepted into that culture, like, you are accepted. Like, they are there for you and they love you for the most part. And that doesn't mean, of course, that what we refer to on YouTube as canceling doesn't happen on Twitch.
Right.
Of course it does. And there's drama like there's on YouTube. But for me, it just feels a lot more tight-knit. And I think a lot of that is because instead of being working in a lot of isolated ways, when you think of a lot of YouTubers who then upload a video and kind of talk about it on Twitter or see each other at VidCon, on Twitch, it's like 8 hours of like playing with other Twitch streamers or hanging out with other Twitch streamers. And so you really build this camaraderie of like, almost equivalent to, I go into work and I eat lunch with my friends. On Twitch, they do that too. They just phone, like they'll Skype each other, or I don't know what they use, but they'll like Discord each other in, and then they're hanging out. And so you really get to know these people, or you feel like you do. And I think there's something about that is so tight-knit and strong that is not replicatable on any other platform. Like, it's so inherently Twitch that I am fascinated, and I love that. And I think that it does feel a little bit more amateurish, which I am also a big fan of compared to YouTube because the editing, right? It's like there's no edits.
Yeah.
It's just them going
It's
live.
a lot more, I feel like the absolute buzzwords all the time, which I'm a bit bored of, but they are still very relevant. That thing about authenticity, realness, or rawness, or whatever. Twitch is that.
It's 100%
because it's not edited. So I mean, that's not to say it is real because it's not edited, but like it can't be as polished. It's just not.
And they're having conversations, right? Like they're full on looking at chat and going, yeah, I'm gonna have a conversation about this. One of my favorite moments was when Dr. Disrespect last month got suspended for streaming in a bathroom, and the announcement went out on Twitter. And like what happens on Twitch, which like I love, is like that tweet gets dropped into a chat, and then you have 30 top streamers, hundreds of thousands of more, who are then responding to it live. And they're like, wait, what happened? And they stop playing, and then they're looking up, and they're reading it with their viewers, and they're reacting to it, and they're giving their, like, because they're in it, they're experts in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They're giving their commentary on it.
It's fascinating.
And for me, it's like, they're working through it with 1 million people watching. And they're also like, and I watched Ninja play Fortnite, someone dropped the link in, and he was like, I think he finished the game. But then he exited, and he was like reading about it, and he was like commenting on it, and he, you know, his friends were doing the same thing, and then eventually they were responding to each other. And I was like, that is something that YouTube still doesn't have, and it's really, really interesting.
I miss the days when you had video responses.
Yes.
And even though obviously that's not nowhere near as immediate, but like it's just a function that allows some communication that isn't just collapse.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, like for the audience even to make like response videos.
Yeah.
And that's what my first videos in 2008 were, like response videos to Mika Kitty and like 5 Awesome Girls. Like
that was when like Shane Dawson made his like name off of like responding to things. That was like his he like would respond, but like to like celebrities. Like it would be like this thing, and he would put in like oh my god, who was big at the time? Lady Gaga. He put like Lady Gaga's name and like and then her photo in the thumbnail and her name in the thing. And he was like, that was like kind of what he was doing for a while. And it was like everyone was doing that. And it was so fun because it was just people being like really dramatic and great and funny and interesting. And I think what we've seen that turn into in a lot of ways is commentary. I think that has matured into commentary, and in a lot of ways matured into the apology response video, right? The whole like, I guess I will address this in a 1 hour video that I'm like scrolling down to the comments for the timestamps. I'm like, where is this address?
Can someone please just
I don't have 60 minutes here.
Like, this is very long. I watched the whole Tatty video. I know that wasn't an apology, but like when I saw how long that was, I think it was like 45 minutes.
45.
And I was like, no way am I going to watch this. I don't even really like, I know who she is, but I've never really watched her stuff.
Yeah.
And then I started watching and I was like, I can't stop watching. I just like have to be sucked into this drama.
Do you know what I think is so interesting about what YouTube drama has done for, I think, creators, but in a lot of ways, is if I was a YouTube creator, I would be like concerned about texting. So I live my life according to screenshot policies, which is like, don't send anything you'd want as a screenshot. And I feel like YouTube, it's wild to me. I think PewDiePie said this in one of his videos where he was like, imagine texting a friend and then having to think like, is this going to show up in a video because of something?
Right.
And he's like, I don't understand it, because he was talking about James Charles's video, which is, they both had texts from each other, DMs from each other.
Right.
And he was like, don't screenshot these, like don't put these in videos. Like I don't understand why you do this to like a friend. And for me, I was like, that is a really interesting part of YouTube, specifically top creator influencer level culture, where it's like, show them the receipts, bring the receipts, and then bringing this in. And I think that will eventually, my prediction is that will eventually change the way that creators talk to their friends in the industry. Because I think they'll be
sad, isn't it?
And I think that will happen, where it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want this to be brought up against me if something were to happen.
Right. Because whenever I'm interviewing creators, I always ask them about like how it is to be both friends and colleagues.
Yes.
Like that weird betweeny bit where it's like, yeah, of course we're friends. And sometimes they are. Like some people are, of course, real friends. But also it's like, ooh, they're popular. Like maybe we want to have a collab sometime.
Exactly.
And maybe we like, you know, it's like a weird space where there's like, I think, well, someone in the UK scene described it as like a weird school group.
Yeah.
Like they all know each other, they see each other all the time at the same events, and they just like, yeah, they're pals, but like really. It's
I
a job.
always think about, there's a great Jennifer Lawrence quote where someone asked her about like her being friends with like Taylor Swift or something, and she, like, they're really good friends, and she was like, but I usually only hang out with my high school friends. And someone was like, why? And she was like, I know that I can go to them on my worst days and it's not going to be a thing. And I think about that a lot with YouTube creators, or anyone who's got a huge fan base, because it's, yeah, of course they are your friends. They're also, like you said, your colleagues. And I think about like my colleagues who I consider friends, but there's still that level of professionalism. There's still that level of like, well, I'm going to protect certain parts of myself because we're professionals. And I think with YouTubers, because so much of their audience feedback comes from them at least positioning themselves as these close friends, I think that's when you get into really complicated territory, when it's like, we're friends, but also I need you to collaborate with me because that is how we have our success.
And life is a performance.
And life is a performance.
Literally, like your life is. This is what my master's dissertation was about. Like this is when I was really having a like, oh, it's all just brands now, blah, moment. And I was just like, well, it's just literally the commodification of life. Like, like everything that's in the shot underneath, the affiliate links, like, then there's nothing. I mean, there are things wrong with it if you're going to take like a Marxist perspective, but like, there's nothing technically wrong with people like making money from what they do. No. But it's the like, it's quite insidious. Yes. Like that there are these things that are kind of slipped in there, and then it's like, is this for money? Is it like, what's going on here? You can't always tell.
It was like, I went to a party last night with a lot of creators, because it's VidCon.
It is VidCon?
It's VidCon. I went to this party and everyone had a camera. And because, right, this is their job still. Their job is to film their lives, and this is part of their job. And so you'd see people having conversations, or they would be doing something, and a camera would, I don't know if it was on or not, but the camera would be up. And you'd have to be like, how much of this is an authentic moment for you at a party for celebrating, you know, your careers, versus how much of this is like, okay, well, I gotta get this one shot because this is gonna play, and this will be my thumbnail, and this will be the thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure this person's in it, because if they're not, and then like asking them in a natural way, unless you've already asked them beforehand, is it okay to be in this video?
Yeah.
If they're famous too.
Exactly. I think it's like, it sounds extremely stressful, and it's something I 100% would hate to do, and I'm glad to just be the person that gets to ask them about it, because I would like,
it's very awkward. I found this is one of the things that's been useful about doing my own videos, vlogs of like field work, is that I've seen what it's like. Like last year, I was mentioning to you before, last year, you might remember if you watched my videos, but like last year at Disney Day, I was there and there happened to be Hank Green and Tessa Violet. Yeah. And I was vlogging YouTube, VidCon, and I was like, wow, like they could be in my vlog, like that's quite weird. But then I was like, I can't, like, I don't want to take my camera out in this moment because I don't want to be a weirdo, like they don't know me. Like, and also it's just a real invasion of privacy to film someone when they're just hanging out and they don't vlog.
Well, when this is just drama, but I think about it a lot because when the Trisha Paytas, Jason Nash breakup was happening, and there was a lot of back and forth on YouTube publicly, and a lot of what they would allege, right, because no one really knows, what they would allege is like, I told David I didn't want this in the video, and he put it anyways, and it was a misunderstanding. Right. But then Tana or Jason put this in their video, and then Trisha made it, and it's like so much. My question, what I would love to know more than anything, is like, how are those conversations? How do you have them? Because it's not only are you good friends, and some of them live together, but it's content. And content for a huge audience, like,
and they know how popular it will be. Like, they're fully aware.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's like, well, how do you have those conversations that are, I need this for my video? And part of I assume, part of my understanding of how the whole group works is like, well, we're filming, and we're kind of constantly filming. And of course, I'm sure, like, if something happens, they're very good about being like, nope, this is not content. This is, between us. But I would imagine the majority of the understanding is that this is content. Yeah. And like, we're kind of always on unless we specifically say we're off. And in a lot of ways, it kind of reminds me of being at a con as a journalist, because unless someone really says off the record, the assumption when you're talking to a journalist at a con and you're in the industry is that it's on the record. I will go out of my way to be like, hey, just to let you know it's on the record, or because I think it's important, especially for creators who might not understand it as much.
I have an interesting, that's interesting to hear because I'm here doing field work, like I'm doing participant observation, so this conversation will probably make its way into well, it's not going to be on YouTube, so I assume it's fine, but like, you know, it might be in the thesis. There's various aspects of like anything that might happen might end up in the thesis, but then there's very strict rules about consent and ethics in academia. Like I've had to fill in very long forms about like how I'll gain consent. I'll make sure people understand what that is. And I know for sure there are some things that people have said in front of me that I won't put in because I feel like they're really interesting, but it's an invasion of privacy, and they did not want me to write about it.
Yeah, I go out of my way to really, especially with creators. I think it's a little bit different when you're being offered or you're able to get access to someone, let's say someone at YouTube or Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever, because they've been trained and they have a PR team and they're kind of like, here's how it works.
Right.
And even with them, I will go out and be like, hey, this is on the record. Go over, especially with creators, I'll go over the rules of off the record. Like, you have to say this is off the record, and then I'll agree to it, and that's how it works.
Okay.
Because I think it's really easy to get confused, and I think talking to press is intimidating. And at the end of the day, like, these are creators I want to talk to. I want to have really interesting conversations with them. And but it is something I think about because that's how I approach things as a journalist. And I imagine with creators, if they're in a house together, right? Like you think of like Twitch houses and you think of YouTube stuff. Yeah, you think of like these houses where everything is kind of on because that's why you're there.
Right.
I would love, like that's the kind of thing that I
would like to see their contracts when they join like Team 10 or whatever. Like they must have a contract, part of the contract, which is like anything that's filmed in the house is fair game.
Reality show style, right? Yeah. It's like real world. When you think about old reality show contracts that are like, when we're filming this, like you're once you're here and it's on. I think there's this really interesting moment on YouTube happening, which is YouTube is aging. It's 14, which is still young, but it's aging. And what's really interesting about it is that YouTube creators and its audience are not necessarily aging out. What it means is that YouTube is able to be expansive, and that you have young people come in, you have Emma Chamberlain, you have Joanna, you have James Charles, but that doesn't mean that Phil and Jacksepticeye and the vlog Hank and John Green are going anywhere. Yeah. They're still there. And to me, that is the sign of what makes YouTube a successful platform that I love, because it's encompassing to everyone versus I'm an outlier who still uses Tumblr because I love Tumblr, but it's young. Like, and I go on, I feel weird because I'm like, oh, like the obsession.
You're creepy old.
Yeah, I'm like, because the obsession is like with BTS and it's a young thing, and I'm like, I just don't get it. But a lot of my favorite like fic authors are still on Tumblr, and so I'm there. But in other ways where a platform either feels very specifically like Tumblr buying for an audience or TikTok, or feels older and therefore smaller, because everyone, when you get older, your online spaces, I think, mirror your real life spaces, and they're smaller. YouTube is like this weird, cool outlier. Maybe with Twitch up there too.
It's just so big,
and that's
like a
it.
Mammoth.
Yeah,
and like we were talking about earlier, it's one of the only or few platforms that's really allowed people to monetize. So
I mean that's a huge deal. That's part of the reason why they're still on it, right? It's because they can make a living. Yeah,
like as in monetize through AdSense revenue, like not just through brand deals, which you can do on any platform, really.
And through now, YouTube's got new alternative stuff, right? So they've got the merch shelf, they've got stickers, membership, super chat.
Did you see yesterday? Were you at the keynote?
I didn't get in, no.
Oh,
but
it wasn't that.
They blocked a lot of people, but I saw a bunch of tweets about it, and then spoke to people who were there.
The membership thing, it was just like, you know, when like, I think what's interesting in this industry is how all the platforms just steal stuff from each other, like every time, and it's like sometimes it's so blatant, like stories. It's like you literally called it stories. YouTube took stories from Instagram, but like with membership, they announced the different levels, which is just like Patreon. Yeah, like completely, obviously.
I mean, like it's interesting to me, and I think I wrote about this. What's interesting to me about YouTube's alternative monetization practices, which I just wrote about this today, I'm really excited by. I think it's YouTube realizing that AdSense is great. I mean, it really is, but it's not always reliable. I think the thing is like the reliability factor. And I think it's YouTube recognizing that, which they have. And I think this is a really great first step for them. What's interesting to me about the alternative monetization methods is that they're just replicas of what has worked on Patreon and Twitch, right? It's just, the stickers thing is emotes.
Yeah.
That's all that is. And the memberships are Patreon. And, you know, it's interesting to me because I cover the world. And so in my mind, because I live for drama, I'm always like, oh, I wonder how Twitch feels about this. When at the end of the day, they're like, we just want people to get paid. Like, we don't really care. And it's great. But in my mind, I'm like, but
maybe they feel upset.
And they're always great
because it's a good idea.
Yeah, they're like, creators should get paid. That's amazing.
But I think it's interesting how every platform's trying to be a one-stop shop for everything. So, like, I went to the IGTV one a couple of hours ago, and they were like, we're just so amazing because, you know, we have these 4 different things. We have the stories, which are for the updates, like the regular updates. We have the feed, which is for like the big moments in the day, like more curated stuff. We have IGTV, which is like for your show. That's how they put it. And we have, what's the 4th thing that Instagram has?
Show, story, explore.
Shit, I've already forgotten. Anyway, I wrote it down earlier. But the point is, they were like, we want to be the place that you don't have to go anywhere else. But it's like, they're not going to be that because they can't monetize.
No. Instagram is a brilliant product. It is probably like the app, 1, 2, 3. Twitter, YouTube, Slack, 4. It's my 4th most used app for sure.
The cool thing about our like jobs, respectively, are that like I probably spend, I don't know, it depends on the day, but like certainly upwards of an hour a day watching YouTube.
Oh yeah, easily.
And when I say that to people, they're like, what? Like how? What? Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem to me like a lot of people, creators even, watch YouTube that much. Like,
yeah, I think depending, it's interesting, right? Because we were talking about this before. I really think of YouTube as a beating heart. There's constantly something. The only other app that I think of as a beating heart is Twitter, and that's because it's so driven by news. But with YouTube, because there's so much, you develop your niche community, right? And so I think people pay attention to that. And so you have people who are really into beauty stuff, and they'll watch like Sebastian, they'll watch James, they'll watch oh god, here's my beauty. I don't know anyone else. Manny, they'll watch. I'm trying to name people. They'll watch. They're people who are doing these great things, or maybe you're into like mukbangs, or maybe for me, I kind of into like vlogger, I think culture, vlogger gaming commentary. And so there's people, right, who you watch every single day, and then you really don't watch anything else unless someone is bringing your attention to it specifically. And usually for me, that's via Twitter. That's when someone who maybe knows that I write about YouTube is following a really cool story on like the animation side. They'll tweet me. They'll be like, "Hey, have you watched this video?"
Right. You must get that a lot.
Yeah, and I really love it. I genuinely love people reaching out to me via either email or Twitter to be like, "Hey, there's this thing happening, or this really, really cool creator," because.
Oh, cool! I'll start doing that if you want.
Yeah, because there are things. There's like we watch an hour a day of YouTube. Yeah. There's only so many hours in a day. I only sleep like 3 hours a night because I don't sleep, and it's the only advantage to insomnia is that
you get to watch all the YouTube.
Is I literally have time to watch, and because I love traditional entertainment still. I mean, I'm spending 3-4 hours a day watching YouTube. Couple hours watching Netflix. I try to read in there. I have my job. If my boss sees this, I am also
working too.
and talking to people. And on top of that, I like to see friends. And so really,
they're okay.
Yeah. And so when you think about everything that comes into like keeping up with YouTube is a full-time job in itself.
There's so many things. There are so many things. There is so much stuff.
It's Friday. I feel you.
It's really hot. That I learn during this research where I'm like, that's really interesting, and I'll write it down. But I know that whatever I do won't be published for at least a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's so I'm so glad that there are people like you working in this industry who publish things as they happen.
But on the other side of it, I'm so thankful we were talking on the way over here. Like for you and my friend Kat Lowe, I'm so thankful.
Kat Lowe! Yeah. I'm gonna meet her sometime. We've been in touch on Twitter.
She's phenomenal. And both of you are brilliant. And I'm so thankful that there are academics who are young and looking at this really important cultural moment. Without academics who have the literal expertise after spending years researching it and talking to people and looking into it, we would just kind of what's great is being able to have both, because I can come to you.
They're very complementary.
They're extremely complementary. Yeah, and I'm thankful that academics are really looking at this, and I'm thankful that journalists are really looking at it, and I think it's only going to get even more recognizable and more attention, because there's this really great quote. I can't remember his last name. Nathan. He's the EIC. He's an anthropologist, I think, at Snapchat, and he's an EIC of Real Life magazine.
Cool.
And he spoke about, his whole thing is, which I totally agree with, is there's no difference between the online world and the real world. And the fact, and trying to separate them, of course there are things that are different, but trying to separate one is more important than the other doesn't make sense anymore.
Right.
And that's exactly how I feel, where people are working for the internet, they live on the internet, they're meeting people on the internet, their lives are on the internet, and to many people, myself included, that is just as important as like buying food in real life and hanging out with a friend in real life. Both are complementary, they're different, but they're just as important. And I think we're at an era which is really fascinating with tech culture journalism and academia and creator culture, where that is really being noticed, and people are spending a lot more time recognizing that as important. And I think that's like super cool.
It's a really good time to be, like I was saying earlier, I feel like we've been saying that, like I was saying earlier, because I've been studying this for so long, from both academically and kind of personally, if you like, but now that is a moment where people actually care enough that we can do these things as work.
Yeah.
Like, I was doing it anyway, because I was just like, but I never thought that I'd be able to pivot or like, I guess, leverage that into a job.
You know how in The Matrix, when Neo finally meets
I love The
Morpheus, it's phenomenal. And when
It's
Neo
one of my
finally,
favorite films.
Me too. And Neo finally meets Morpheus, and he has this moment where he's kind of like, everything that I was so obsessed with, I finally get to do after his freak out. That's kind of how I feel, where I was like, I grew up like just on Habbo Hotel, and my whole life was online.
Habbo Hotel.
Meeting people, like everything, watching YouTube and being obsessed. Like that, my life from the time that I was a kid was all online. And so the fact that, the idea that I took this dream, this is a fun story. When I was in college, I sent an email to my current boss's personal email address. I think I found it like via like somehow. I think he had a website, and I found this, and I emailed him. I was like, second year of college. I was like, I really want to work at the Verge. Like, this is all I want to do. And 5 years later, 6 years later, I got the job offer from the Verge. So and for me, that was my Neo meets Morpheus moment, where he was like, everything that I was upset, like, it came true. And for me, that's what happened. It's like, because being hired at the Verge wasn't just a sign that, like, I had done decently enough that the Verge was willing to take a chance on me, which I will always be thankful for. But it was a sign that what I love about like the Verge is we they took internet culture just as seriously as tech, as policy, as regular entertainment culture, and they wanted to explore it and talk about it. And for me, the fact that there's companies, there are publications that are willing to pay really good reporters out there to do that, like that is my Matrix moment. Yeah, for sure. And I think that there is like a generational thing there, which is changing now as we get older. Yes. But there was definitely a time, let's say, I don't know, 5 years ago or something, where there wasn't really anyone in those positions of power that realised how important this stuff was. And everyone who was younger who knew were not in jobs. So I think like it's back to maybe early Gawker, who they were kind of doing it. Like Adrian Chen did a really good job, and like Max Reeves was doing a good job. And like they were kind of doing it, but it was internet culture was just extremely important. But it like Reddit, and the idea of covering creators, I think, really came up in the past 2 or 3 years, and it's like really covering creators. Excuse me, from an internet culture standpoint, people have covered creators from an entertainment standpoint for years. Like the Hollywood Reporter and Variety have talked about YouTubers. Yeah. In the sense of like, when do they come to Hollywood? Like that's always been the angle of like, YouTubers are great. Yeah. When do they come into movies? We don't necessarily want to. Exactly. Because we have bigger audiences. Exactly. So why would we? And in the past 3 years, that conversation has shifted into creators are shaping and shifting our world online, which is just as important as our real world. How do we cover them in a way that shows how important that is? And like I think being a part of that, I just feel extremely fortunate. unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really nice. I think we shall wrap it up. But
Yes.
I want to ask you before we finish, if you could tell me like 2 or 3 of your like favorite articles that you've written either recently or a while ago, and I'll link them below just so that you can see the wonderful work that you do.
Yeah, I think this is always really hard for me because I grew up in an era of like self-deprecating
Oh,
people.
of course, yeah.
But Golden Age of YouTube was a feature I wrote.
That was wonderful.
Yeah.
I shared it on Twitter already, but it would be nice to put it below.
Thank you. I like that. I think a really important story we did recently was we did a story on copyright and how the record labels work with YouTube, and that was important to me because my main interest with creators is monetization. Because they're doing work, they should get paid.
Yeah.
So that was something I really love doing. You know what? There's one I did at Polygon which was kind of cool about burnout. I think, and that was really, I think I really enjoyed that article because it was good. It was not like, I don't think it was phenomenal. It was good, but I liked it because it got our audience to start start looking at creator mental health as a real issue. Yeah. And I like that conversation has since continued.
That's nice. Yeah, there's been that shift where people are taking it more seriously and they're not like, oh, you're tired because you're just having to turn on the camera for 10 minutes. Like,
so I think that story was important to me because I was like, I'm glad that we got to talk about this seriously.
Nice. Well, I'll put them all in the doobly-doo.
Thank you so much. It's been so great to be able to talk to you about all this.
We only just met, but we've been in touch a bit, like, before. I've been following your stuff for ages, but it's always nice to meet someone in person and actually have a conversation. And when you know...
Also, you're brilliant. Like, you are brilliant.
This is just a big love fest, isn't it? But you know when you follow someone online and you're like, I know that we'll get on. Like,
yes.
But you can't be like a creep about it. That's always the case, isn't it? Everyone who like follows someone, or even if it's a YouTuber or if it's someone else, like you don't want to be weird.
My favorite thing is I've had people in the past like month or so like DM me on Twitter and they're like, you seem like a really cool person, but like your obsession with Iron Man 2 being a good movie is like a weird thing. And so now I've like, that's my brand now. I'm just leaning into it. Hopefully I'm cool, but also Iron Man 2 is fine. And so that's what I'll die on.
That's it. That's the brand. Cool. Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, whoever you may be. Hopefully there'll be lots of you. You know? Okay. Goodbye. Let's just check out the angles. Oh, it looks quite nice.
That's very nice.
Fucking hell, I'm so sweaty.
See, I can't.
What are you doing?
I love it.
It is dope. Okay. We don't need to talk for too much longer because then I'll have to edit it.